Okay, so I was a studio musician, and I'd done sessions for this fellow called George Ogomelski, who actually was the manager of the Yardbirds, and he'd asked me to join the Yardbirds at one point. I didn't feel very comfortable about it because I knew Eric didn't know, and I said no. And then it came up another time, and by that time I was a producer. I'd worked my way up. Being a studio musician, I took it on board as almost like an apprenticeship because I wanted to learn from the recording engineers for certain techniques. I really wanted to learn how things were done. By this time I could read music, which meant that I could write it and do arrangements. And then I was producing as well, so I was in a really good sort of zone. And when I had this second request to join, I said, well, I know somebody who'd be really good for this, and it's Jeff Beck. And of course he went in there and did some amazing work at the Yardbirds. I mean, yeah, absolutely amazing. Out of this world then, and he's out of this world now. It's just fabulous. So what happens as a result of this, Jeff being in the Yardbirds, I'm still living with my parents at the time in Epsom. And I hear this sort of car roar up, and I thought, what's that? I didn't know it was a car, I just heard this thing roaring up. And I looked out the window, and I saw that there was a Corvette Stingray outside. And there's somebody's getting out, of course it's Jeff. And Jeff's coming out, and he's holding this guitar, and he's come to have a play, you know. And he knocks on the door, and I say, come in, Jeff, you know. He's saying about that they'd just done a sort of a new deal, and he bought the Stingray with it. He said, here, this is yours. And he gave me the Telecaster that he'd been using. He said, this is for yours for getting me in the Yardbirds. Well, obviously I was really moved. I mean, you know, it's got a lot of love in that, in that gesture of giving it to me. I happened to be with Jeff one night at a concert where there was a bit of a fuss on the stage, and Keith Ralph, he was really sort of shouting at the audience, what could only be described as a punk performance. It was fantastic, actually. And I went to the dressing room to congratulate him. There's this massive row going on, and Paul Smith, the bass player, quit the band, and he was trying to get the drummer to go as well, and he said, no, I'm going to stay. And he stormed off. It was a pretty odd situation to have to sort of witness. But we've got the marquee coming up on one Thursday or whatever it was. This is a weekend thing. I said, well, I'll play then. Because he'd left his bass behind, he just quit. Jeff and I had spoken before about playing together, and so here was an opportunity to do it. But I started off on bass and then quickly recruited Chris Dreyer to take over the bass so I could do this sort of guitar stuff.